Hello, 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 and welcome to the Unspoken Heart Discussion Hour. As you know, we've been discussing Will the step ways to in his life before we actually get to the Oscars. So this is actually part three. So we are one step from the last discussion on Will Smith when we discussed the Oscars. But today we're going to be discussing his family with the children and him and Jada. So make sure y'all stay tuned. And now I'm going to bring in my co-host Dwight Robinson. Hey, Mister, how we doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm being blessed. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. As you know, today we're going to be talking about Will's immediate family. We started off with part one where we discussed his upbringing, being exposed to domestic violence and things that could have, traumatized him in life, along with his siblings, and talking about his mom and dad. But on part two, we brought in his intimidation towards Tupac and Jada's love for him as well.
Right.
But today we want to bring in the discussion about the children. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And so, I mean, it's been a roller coaster. I've been kind of enjoying this. How about you?
It's a pretty good subject. Every time you turn around, you hear something new coming up. So,
Yeah, so far, even though we had part one and two, we haven't got into three yet. What is your perspective? I mean, your opinion when it come down to Will now, when you look at it, because I know people was going off of just at the Oscars by seeing what you have seen so far
well, my opinion about what's going on ever since the Oscars.
about Will. No, before, being that we have discussed his childhood, we have discussed, his intimidation in relationship with in marriage with Jada, and now we're getting ready to talk about the children. I mean, have your perspective changed towards what you thought at first when before we, after we didn't see the Oscars?
Well, I mean, Will, me personally, the kids and everything he been going on in his life, he have a lot of issues going with him, but he just made one real bad mistake. And I mean, I, I'm a big fan of Will Smith. We all humans, and
Mm,
we all go through things in our life, and
yeah.
he's just having a tough time, and hopefully he can get through it.
Hmm.
And like I said, I mean, we see what's on the outside of a lot of things. We don't know what's really going on the inside now. With Jada, his wife, putting the red tape out there, she gave us an open door and a window what goes on in their lives. And a
Exactly.
lot of people don't agree what's going on with what she do, but I'm still with Will Smith. I'm just praying that he get himself together and
Yeah.
things will work out for him.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, because like I said, when I decided to do this, I'm like, we're not gonna just talk about the Oscars. There's something more. When you look at this guy's expression and follow through the years, you're like, it's got to be something more behind this. It's something
Right,
else going on because when you deal with a lot of trauma in your life, it affects the outcome. And
right.
sometimes it ends when you keep it balled up in and you don't get help or a healing from that. You know, it causes an explosion that a lot of
Yes,
people
it
don't
is.
realize because they're looking at this guy as the actor, the rapper,
Right. Right.
and the family man, and they expect. I think people had too high of an expectation when it came down to him, not realizing, acknowledging he's human.
That's right. He's only a human just like us. He's flesh and blood. So if we all make mistakes and we all do things that we regret in life, but that's life. I mean, we're not gods. We're nobody, but we're just human beings.
Yeah,
He's a big actor. So
yeah.
we make.
So what I'm gonna do before we talk further, because we do have something based on him and with the children. So because everybody they raise their kids differently.
Right.
We're not to judge because everybody has their own techniques and their own skills. But as parents, we play an important part in our children's life.
Right.
And there's a difference between a child being a child and an adult being a child. but it's also being that
Hmm.
parent and guiding that child.
Right.
So let's take a look at this here on what their him and Jada's parenting.
All
Concept of children
right.
being a piece of property, and that was something he and Jada didn't want to establish in their home. Instead, they treat their children as equals. He told the publication, "You would never tell a full grown adult to clean their room, so we don't tell our kids to clean their rooms." Instead, they tell their children they're borrowing a room. He added, "So we feel it's perfectly reasonable to ask our kids to clean the rooms that we are letting them use." Will explained how his and Jada's parenting style doesn't involve discipline. His children are allowed to do anything they want as long as they can explain why it was the right thing to do in their life. He told Oprah that if they see their children going too far, they will gently pull them back. He added, "It's about protecting you from the potential damage that you could do to yourself." Jada's mom, Adrienne Banfield Norris, wasn't a fan of her grandchildren's unconventional childhood. During an episode of Red Table Talk, Adrienne expressed that Jada and Will gave their children too much freedom and couldn't understand why they treated the kids like adults. While Will's son Trey attended Oaks Christian High School in Westlake Village, where he also played on the football team, Will and Jada decided to approach education in a different way for their two younger children. The Smiths began an elementary homeschool program in one of their unused homes, according to the Daily Beast. At the time, the school included about 20 to 30 students, including Jaden and Willow. In 2008, they moved the program to the Old Indian Hills High School and named their private elementary institution the New Village Leadership Academy. Former staff members and teachers later spoke to the Daily Beast and alleged the curriculum was geared towards the official Church of Scientology, a set of beliefs and practices invented by the late author L. Ron Hubbard. One former teacher stated Jada ordered all teachers to take courses at Scientology's Celebrity Center in Hollywood and also at the Applied Scholastics, which is a Scientology-affiliated group. The former teacher stated, "My feeling is that Jada was really into Scientology and Will was sort of whatever, but he took all the courses too." Former teachers complained there was no real structure and the kids were free to do whatever they wanted. Will and Jada repeatedly denied they were Scientologists and that the school was based on L. Ron Hubbard's teachings, despite being close friends with Tom Cruise, who was heavily involved with the church at the time. The Daily Beast also uncovered the Smiths' 2008 tax returns for their nonprofit organization, the Will and Jada Smith Family Foundation, which showed the couple gave a six-figure donation to various Scientology groups. After the school quietly closed in 2013, Jaden tweeted, "School is the tool to brainwash the youth." From there, Willow and Jaden attended what they called mystery school. In an interview with GQ magazine, Jaden said their school allowed them to set their own curriculum and learn about the things that interest them.
Wow.
Mm.
Like I said, we all have our own way of parenting our children.
Right.
But me personally, I don't judge nobody's parenting skills. To each his own. Long as it don't affect my life or my children's life.
Right.
But what is your thoughts on where Will says that he feels that the children should be able to make mistakes on their own, but they don't have discipline. You might as well say they practically do what they want.
Mm. Well, my thoughts about that. I believe that when children are children, you need to discipline them. That's just my opinion. Because you're supposed to guide them in things in life, and not just to me. You can't just let them run free and do what they want. Now, when they become adults, and then they're free to do what they want to do, and you can give them advice. But like I said, everybody raise their kids different. Me personally, I would never have never raised mine like that because they need adults. They need adults in their life to guide them and everything. I mean, a child's mind is like a sponge. I mean, they pick up things and do things, but just let them run out there freely and do what they want to do, and then say, well, if they going too far, we'll pull them back. I just disagree with that. But like I said, like you said, everybody do raise their kids different. It's just that I wouldn't personally do that.
Exactly. And I mean, he even mentioned that they more or less, they don't make them clean up the room. They say you don't tell an adult to clean up their room, so why would you tell them?
They
Well,
children.
one, they children, and that's why
Exactly.
they say a child's supposed to be in a child's place.
Our place. That's right.
But it seemed like these kids didn't have a place to be placed in, or corrected, or guided, or supplied any tools and skills, because
Yeah.
they were just left out there to be thrown, like you might say, just thrown to the wolves.
Yeah.
You
Learn
know,
everything on your own. Do what you want to do. That's to me that's just crazy. It is. It's just crazy.
exactly. And I mean, I don't agree with it personally. It's their business.
Yeah.
It's their children. You
Yeah.
know, but I disagree when you say that a child should be able to do what they want, more or less.
Right.
That's why they say parenting. The parents are put there to get offer guidelines, to offer a way of doing things, to teaching them right from wrong.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
now when it come down to identity, one thing I did allow my kids to do, I let them decide how they wanted to dress, as long as it wasn't
Mhm.
outlandish or their hairstyle, because they do have to discover their own identity.
Exactly.
They don't have to be like us.
Right.
And I feel like with them, it's crazy.
Well, yeah, they had like a certain upbringing. I mean, watching them as they was growing up and hearing how Jayla and Will let them grow up, I kind of shook my head a couple of times and said, well, I mean, it's their children, and I know they love them, but it's like they just got them giving too much freedom to do what they want as young kids, and that just to me, in my eyes, just shouldn't do that. You have to guide your children and do things and teach them things, just not let them go out there and do what they want and not clean their room, anything like that. It's just too much. It's way too much.
Yeah, because I mean, you gotta look at it by not telling them, okay, you gotta keep your room clean. Because like he
Hmm.
said, he wouldn't tell them, that they was renting the room. He would tell them they're borrowing in it. So it's like, okay, that doesn't make sense. I'm like,
No,
how you gonna borrow something that you're not paying for?
exactly.
It's just like I tell my kids, I pay for each square footage of this house, meaning that
Hmm.
I have say so in each square footage of this house. So if I say each square footage gotta be clean, it's gotta be clean.
That's right.
That's just the
That's
bottom
right.
line, because it also teaches them, you know, how to be organized in life.
Exactly.
You know,
I mean, I'm from the old school. I mean, my parents, that's how they raised us. You clean up this, you clean up the house, you do this, give you structure. You do things. You got to learn how to do things. And they didn't just let us do whatever we want. You have to have guidance in your life and
yeah,
everything. I mean, when they get grown, then there's something different. But as young children, you got to raise them like that. So,
yeah. Because I also feel like that's probably why a lot of what the outside scene and the struggling with Jada and Willow, the difference. Because if you look at Jada and Willow, and then you look at
mhm.
Trey, yes, these are
Right.
two different mothers.
Two different mothers. Exactly.
Because one
And,
mother said, no, he's going to this school right here where he can get the
mhm.
proper teachings and the
Right.
education they need. But they
Right.
took the extra home they had to form it into a school to where the teachers said that they could do what they want, more or less.
Boy, it must be nice as a kid to just do what you want.
Yeah,
I mean,
no discipline. They didn't believe in
nothing.
discipline. You know,
Hmm.
now as you've seen, I know I said at a point that sometimes it looks like the grandmother, stepped over too far, and
Right.
I just felt like that applied to when we talked about the marriage. But her
Hmm.
voice and her word, I agree with her in this, because she did
Right.
not
I do too.
agree with
I do too.
the structure that they had.
Hmm.
because she's like, how can you allow these kids to be adults?
Exactly. They're too young. Their mind's not ready for all that stuff. I mean,
They
it's
don't
just
know
giving
what it
too
is
much.
to be an adult.
Right. They're not mature enough to handle certain things, so you just can't give them that freedom like that. Yeah. I agree with
Yeah.
grandma. So,
Yeah, can you look at also? I read upon as I researched that they allowed Jaden to get to live on his own and get his own place, even though they say it was
hmm,
5 minutes away at 15 years old.
right.
Not in my house, you're not.
No, that's too young. Too young. Now, if they get 18, they can do that. They grown. But at 15,
Yeah,
no, you still consider as a minor or a child. You're going to stay right there while I keep my eye on you.
they still
Plain and
supposed to be
simple.
responsible for them. You
Exactly.
know, how you gonna allow a child to tell you what they gonna do? So
Not
when they
today.
get out in that world, they can't follow instructions or take orders because
Exactly.
they're used to having their way.
Exactly, and that's how you prepare children when they about to go into the grown in the world. Okay, you train them and bring them up that way so they can get themselves ready to do that in life. There's always rules that you have to follow and everything. You just can't go out here and do what you want to do. So,
Yeah. Yeah, cause see a lot of, and see that's probably why we seen the different transitions of Jada, where at
mhm,
one point he felt comfortable in a dress.
right now, see that now Spice right there. Now I'm not gonna lie. Now, you as a son, I mean, as my son, you're not gonna wear that. Not
Hmm.
by you that age, you just not gonna do that. If you get grown man, able to make your own money, you grown, do what you do, then that's you. But as far as living in my house and
Hmm.
being a minor, you're not wearing no dress. I'm sorry, it ain't gonna happen. That's not gonna
Exactly. And we got
happen.
Keisha coming in. I don't know if you was able to look at the video. Keisha, was you able to peep in on that?
Yes, my internet kept going in and out, but I did get a chance to look at it. You talking about the one where they say they let the kids do what they want to do?
Yeah, give us your opinion on that, because you, as a single mother, I mean, you have your own way of parenting as well. So, what is your intake on their parenting?
I think that is just absolutely absurd. Kids need direction. I try to run my house as biblical as I can, and just like us, if we have no direction, kids go, they do whatever. Kids have to be led, they have to be instructed from right and wrong, because we can't assume that a child knows that something is wrong if they have not been taught or instructed that that is wrong. So I'm like the grandmother. I wouldn't be able to allow my grandchildren to do that, because it's
That's
it's just
right.
absurd to me.
It's very
That's
absurd.
what I got to say about it.
I agree
I
with y'all
agree.
as well.
I agree. I
I
definitely
do.
agree.
Because in my household, there's got to be structure. There got to be a foundation. Because, like I tell my kids, at the end of the day, no matter how mad you get at me, I still gotta be mama.
Right.
I'm held
Right.
accountable for teaching you what's right and guiding you in the right steps to go the right way. And it's just
Right.
like I tell my daughter now, when you come to that fork in that road, either you can take the skills and the foundation and structure that your mom applied, or you can take the other ones. It's your decision. But whatever one you take is going to discern the outcome of what the end going to be at.
Right.
You know, now as you see, Keisha, what is your opinion about the teachers? Because even the teachers were saying, you know, that the kids were, even though they supposed to be teaching them, they more or less got to learn whatever they feel like they need to learn the way they want to learn it. But from what the teachers were saying, the kids was allowed to practically do what they want. What is your opinion on when it comes down to the ground rules of being a teacher and then supposed to be applying the educational skills for our children in the future?
Well, one, you got to understand that the school was made by Will and Jada, from what I picked up. So if they already have this no structure at home, of course they're going to have it in the learning environment. A child, again, does not know what they need to know if they don't know what they don't know.
Exactly.
That's the bottom line. And as a teacher, and I'm not allowed to instruct, even though they made them take all those classes. If I'm not allowed as a teacher, as an adult, as a more experienced person to instruct this child, I couldn't work there, because
And see
basically they just
that
turn
was what
into
I was
babysitters.
looking for. Could you work it as a teacher that seek out to educate the future of our
No,
children? Could you be in this type of environment where the kids practically could do what they want to do?
No, because you just become a babysitter. Because basically they come to school just to be there. So
Exactly.
no, I could not.
Exactly. And what about your intakes? I mean, this go for both of y'all because as you've seen, there have been accusations that Jada and Will are Scientologists. But when you look at it, they made the teachers take up studies in schools that consist of Scientology. What is your opinion on that? We'll go with Dwight first.
I just don't too much agree with it. I mean, people are different. They put their kids and things like that, but me personally, I just don't agree with it. I don't agree to let kids have the freedom to do what they want to do. And I agree with a lot of what teachers said. You just dare to be there, you know. And in my opinion, just not cool. It's just not right. So I disagree with how they did the kids. They come to the school and everything and the teachers and stuff. Just don't agree with that.
And Keisha, your intake on the Scientology part?
Um, Scientology is a whole different way of thinking. Um, and I don't agree with it because I don't believe in their foundation. I don't believe in what they believe in. So I know at one point in one of the videos I did watch, Jada did try to say that they were not Scientologists, but they are really close to Tom Cruise, who is very heavy in Scientology. Um, so therefore, if they're in Scientology, they're going to raise their kids that way. That's where this no rule, no structure, let the kids be themselves, and basically it's almost like they're wild animals because
Yep.
they in the wild just learning as they go along. No structure. So no, I don't agree with Scientology at all.
I'm with you on that because I'm like, one point you said, "Oh well, I'm not a Scientologist," but you doing everything to put yourself in that light of that field because you look at it, you having the teachers and your husband and yourself, go take the teachings of Scientology. You having the kids being educated on Scientology, so that makes a person feel like you are doing Scientology. No matter how she take it. But we're gonna go to our next break, and where we're gonna go to now is a moment where Will and Jada was at the Red Talk table, and where they, I guess it was supposed to be a confession for Jada. So let's tune in and watch this.
You've been on a hell of a journey with me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's people's feelings involved.
Right. Right. Mm-hmm.
It's healing that needs to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. So what happened, Jada?
Okay, so I think it was about 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. Started a friendship with August. Mm-hmm. And we actually became really, really good friends. Mm-hmm. And it all started with him just needing some help. Mm-hmm. Me wanting to help his health, his mental state. And we found all those different resources, mm-hmm. To help pull him through. Mm-hmm. And from there, you and I were going through a very difficult time.
Yeah.
That particular point in time, it was indefinite.
Yeah, I really felt like we could be over. We
were
over. And then what did you do, Jada?
Well, I think from there, as time went on, I got into a different kind of entanglement.
I think you need to say clearly what happened.
And I got into an entanglement with August. That's what I said.
Hey, that's what I said.
An entanglement?
Yes. Yes.
A relationship?
Yes, it was a relationship. Absolutely.
We decided that we were going to separate for a period of time and you go figure out how to make yourself happy.
I was in a lot of pain and I was very broken. Now, in the process of that relationship, I definitely realized that you can't find happiness outside of yourself. Mm-hmm. And luckily enough, you and I were also going through a process of healing in a much different manner. I would
During that time, launched into an interaction with August. What do you feel like you were looking for?
I just wanted to feel good. It had been so long since I felt good.
Right. Husband, now I got to be with you at the press conference while you tell the world about your transgressions.
Well,
Like I love my baby. I'm gonna stand by my baby no matter what.
No, I definitely understand why it would look that way or feel that way, but I actually don't look at it as a transgression at all. Through that particular journey, I learned so much about myself and was able to really confront a lot of emotional immaturity, emotional insecurity, and I was really able to do some really deep healing. It was really a joy to just help heal somebody.
Yeah. Because I wasn't sure I was ever going to speak to you again.
I know.
Yeah. Like, the fact that I'm speaking to you again is a miracle. I don't want to go through this no more.
Yeah, no, I don't either.
Yeah. I'm going to get you back first, and then...
You're going to get me back. I think you've got me back. I think we're good on that, okay?
Okay.
I wish that wasn't the case. I do. I wish that wasn't the case.
I sure wish it could be all magic and miracles.
Yeah.
Okay, that's probably true. That's true.
But, and I don't think it's about getting anybody back.
No, for me it is.
Okay. I'll give you that petty if that's what you want. But, I will definitely say it's just part of it.
Yeah.
If you expect to be with somebody for a lifetime.
25 years and counting.
We ride together.
We die together.
Bad marriage for life.
That's terrible.
Okay, and the reason why we bringing that part in because this does tie in with the kids being older, and honestly, in my opinion, I feel like the kids knew too much information, and this is why I say, like with parenting, there's some things that kids need not to be brought in light of, and to where they go too far and overstep their boundaries and stay in their position. And when I say that to say this, and then we're gonna go on to what they were talking about in the August situation. But like what Jada, we talked about on the last show with Will's intimidation when it came down to Tupac. But at the same time, I couldn't understand why Willow had so much involvement with that. And the reason why I say that because she ended up writing a letter to Tupac thinking that maybe he's not dead. So if you see here, you see, "Dear Tupac, I know you're alive someplace. I think that my mommy really misses you. Can you please come back? Can you come back so mommy and me could be happy? I wish you was here. I really do. Love, Willow." Well, I'm gonna go because the reason I'm gonna go to Dwight first because as a father, this really bothers me because I feel like it just. Let me go to Dwight because it's a lot I want to express on that. But Dwight, what is your feeling on this as a father when you look at the fact that Will's child is begging for Tupac to come back?
Yeah, well, as a father, that would deeply hurt because this is your child, your flesh and blood, child that you raised, brought in this world, and for you as a father, have to read a letter that your daughter wrote to a dead man that that your mama still have a thing for him, wishing that he was still alive so he can be in their life to be happy again. Be honest with you, I wouldn't know how to take that. And like I said, Will's a bigger man than me because that would have did it for me right there. Willow was 11 years old, so she's a child. And during that time while he's doing movies, she's raising their daughter. So eventually his wife had to be getting all this stuff in her head and everything.
Exactly.
So for her to think like that, but yeah, for me as a father, that would have did it for me. I would have been out. I'll take care of my child, but she would have been gone because that's just
Yeah.
crazy,
Yeah. And
crazy.
Keisha, what was your thoughts on it?
Well, one, Jada at some point had to confide in Willow, whether she was, Willow is seeing her mom sad, Willow is seeing her mom crying all the time. Um, so I think it was a mother-daughter connection. Jada's crying to her daughter, and Mom, what's wrong? And she told her. So, I mean, who's to say that? I don't know if Jada knew that Willow wrote that letter. She may not have put her up to it. Kids do things. If they let these kids have that much freedom and that much involvement in their personal life, I mean, you can't hide depression and you can't hide if you're doing all this crying.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
Willow could have wrote the letter without her mom knowing. Now, she could have showed it to her mom, but I don't think Jada necessarily had anything to do with her writing the letter.
Mhm.
Um, I think Willow saw how much her mom was crying, sad, depressed, pulled back from the family, and knowing how she felt about Tupac, she felt that she needed to express that to him. Now, on Will's end, it added more scars to his already scarred up heart to know that you've confided in our daughter, a child, how you feel about this man. So it's kind of a twofold situation, which is not good on either part, and it leaves Willow kind of lost, wondering why is mommy crying over another man when daddy's here. So to me, it seemed like they all had pulled from Will, the
Yeah.
kids and Jada.
I agree with you on that. And that's why I said, which is the very hurtful part. Um, I feel like that when it came down to Willow, being a child, she did that was not her place. But it's one thing to want your mom happy, but to also to to stab your dad in the back like that for another man that's not your father, that's pretty low. That's pretty low. But I say that this is where the problem emerges because it goes back to where we say there's no structure. There was no
Yep, that's exactly
guidance.
what I was gonna say.
And this is why this has happened because she has never been told to stay in your place. But Will
Well,
was
they
quick.
they just have no boundaries.
Yeah.
They
Except for
have
when it
no
came down to
child
his
adult
ex-wife.
boundaries. None.
Yeah, but see that's what I couldn't understand because it's like, we're not there. We don't know what Will could have told her or what was his response or reaction to this. But my thing was he was able to let Jada know the boundaries between her as his wife and his ex-wife as Trey's mother. Now you could set boundaries there and you can tell somebody where their place is there, but you feel like that these kids should not have no structure or a placement. That there didn't add up right there. Like they say, make it make sense. It didn't make sense to me at all. So going back to the table talk with her and Will. I mean, when I saw this, my heart went out for Will. It really did. And we're going to look at a video because there's a lot, with the kids' reactions and their involvement when it came down to August. And for some that do not know who August is, he is I think they consider him a rapper, R&B artist. He's a real attractive guy. But he was about in his 20s when he got involved with Jada. But I mean, it goes further than that. So, with this family here with them too. But, as some know already, the song has dropped, Entanglement. I will not be playing that. I mean, it's cold. I'm gonna tell you like that. It's cold, but it's fire. But I don't consent to it because it's like I look at Will as well as the husband being disrespected. But my thing is that he was quick to call Will a clown. But what does that make you? Because you supposed to be a friend of one. You came into to be a family friend, and then you betrayed the friend by sleeping with Jada. But when you saw this, and I'm gonna go to Keisha first. When you saw this here, what was your feeling on this here, especially when you see Will's face? Because I feel like his face told a lot, even though you could tell he tried to hide it.
That whole thing said a whole lot on both of their parts. As far as Will, I think they had come before they even got to this point, because he said, I don't know if I was even going to speak to you again. So when he's sitting at this table, he actually probably had to come to grips with a lot of things. Now, Jada made it seem like she was like Will was owed that because she said something to the point of, you know, you kind of like, you know what you did. So we even now. But to be sitting in across from my husband and you're telling me, and I know we should talk, but you telling me that you um did what you did because you needed to feel good. I wouldn't have been able to sit there
Mm-mm.
and listen to you tell me this because one, you already know how much I'm torn apart. Now I got to sit at this table while you tell me that you were in a relationship because you were broken. Like she's coming up with all these reasons to make it sound good when that had nothing to do with it to me. I know we do stuff when we hurt, we do stuff when we lonely, when we depressed, we just do stuff that we shouldn't do. But to have your husband sit there and he has to stomach this. I know that man felt sick the whole entire time.
Mm.
I don't even know how he did it.
I would have been throwing up. Me personally, I
That's what
would
I'm
have
saying.
just
I don't know
vomited.
how he did it.
It's humiliating. It's embarrassing. It's demeaning. Because my thing is that you sitting here with the woman just with the mindset that she went outside of you. And I don't know what she meant by we're even because that could be because I mean there was so much that emerged. Because do she mean that he did adulterous acts as well? Because that entanglement word, come on, girlfriend, you cannot don't try to dress that up cute.
But
You
then
and
why didn't we
it's
never hear
adulterous
about Will stuff?
exactly. But at the same time, could it be what she mean also because he didn't fulfill her sexually? Because she put that out there very heavily that when it came down to intimacy, that he didn't satisfy her. He wasn't good. So
Wow, that woman didn't
that's
leave
not a
him
get
with
back.
nothing.
That's good because I'm gonna tell
No.
you, I see Jada and I've seen so many different stories that came out of her mouth, not blogs or whatever, but out of her mouth. And she is a habitual liar. And then she comes back and recants on the lie. She have lied many times, especially when it came down to this August guy, you know. But let's go to Dwight and see what was his opinion as well.
She just embarrassed that man, and you can tell he was hurt. First of all, the boy was mostly friend with Will Smith's son. Okay, um, this man stayed in their house. He was taking picture with Jada and the family. They was out seen, out in places being seen, people taking pictures of him. And for her to come out there and just pop that up for other people to hear the relationship was going on between them and said, I had an entanglement and I just wanted to feel good again. I mean, that is so much of that man's manhood.
Mm,
And that just told you can see the pain in his face. He was we was playing it off, but that man was hurt. He was
mm,
hurt. He was torn up on the floor up, and for her just to sit there calmly and say these things, and he sitting there. I mean, I ain't gonna lie. I don't. He like I said, he better than me because I might have went off on her. And you saying all this stuff, putting this stuff out here, talking about you want to feel good again. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you ask any normal man, that's a slap in the face.
mm,
And she had no problem letting that roll off her tongue. I mean, if you did something against your husband and say I had an affair, that's different. But she went into details on everything and all that other stuff that she said. And that man, you can see him just just hurt, just 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 have to play that off. Because I'm pretty sure when the cameras went off, he might have just said some things to her. If that wasn't enough to make him leave, he talking about he was going to not talk to her again. For me, that probably did it right there. But hey,
yeah.
everybody's different. So.
Yeah.
But that's just bad.
Yeah, it's very sad. And before we go to our next video where we'll be able to see the kids' point of view and a little bit of August as well. My thing is seeing his face, it broke me because that's one of my weaknesses is to see a man cry. That is my weakness. But for her to sit there and try to justify or try to decorate what she did, point blank, you cheated on your husband. You committed an adulterous act. There's no way to justify that. If you wanted to be feel good, they got adult stores. You play with yourself. You don't go get another man or a little boy because legally you're still married. And that means a lot. No matter what you thought about Will or what was going on, even if y'all had to take a break, that doesn't justify it at all. And my heart was really torn because, like I said, we look at part 1, 2, and now we at 3, and to see exactly, because I know people say, that's against Jada. They're like, oh, she's controlling and she's selfish. And I mean, even her own kids say it. And when you look at a lot of this here, you do see the selfishness. You do see a person that feel like they should have their way, and that the way she cut him down for that time at the red table is just a total disrespect. And not she didn't just do it once with him, but then she comes back and do it again. By sitting there and talking about bedroom. There's certain, it seemed like it was no limits or boundaries set when it came down to the red table talk. To me, in my opinion, I feel like that red table talk, it was abused because you allowed too many people to have access beyond the threshold of your door that shouldn't have been invited in. And looking at his face, my heart did go out. Just like Keisha, I didn't hear about these infidelities because even his wife even said, they didn't break up from infidelities. They didn't break up from nothing like that. Will didn't want to even divorce her. It was his ex-wife that did the divorce. But they still made sure they had a bond to where they was able to have their children together. So what we're going to do now, we're going to see a little bit into the children and see after this was exposed, what their reaction was, because I guess this part here allowed Willow to come out in a different way. So we'll be back right after this.
And mental health issues. It's not clear when exactly they became friends, but yeah, Jaden and August were indeed buddies. And for those who are still confused about how Jaden and August were friends given their age difference, a resurfaced video from 2018 should clear that up. In the video, which started making rounds again in 2022, Jaden joined radio host Big Boy to speak about his music, life, and challenges of growing up as a child actor. In the interview, he actually revealed that he preferred having older friends, saying,
I'm very happy that I spent my childhood with more adults than I did with kids my age.
Then he went on to explain that when he hung out with people his own age, they seemed dumb and concerned with irrelevant things. Jaden then made an impression, mocking kids his age, adding,
Selfie, I'm just like, dude, like, oh my God, like, can we talk about like the political and economic state of the world right now?
So Jaden being friends with August back in the day, definitely not surprising. As for how August even met his mom, in June 2015, Jada attended the Wireless Festival in London to support Jaden and Willow, who were both performing, and that is when she met August for the first time. August also went on holiday with Jaden and his family in 2016, and in 2017, Jada and August attended the BET Awards together. In 2017, there were already rumors that Jada and August were in a relationship, but while promoting her film Girls Trip, Jada went on Watch What Happens Live and said that the craziest rumor she had ever heard about her and Will Smith is that they're swingers. She said,
that Will and I are swingers. That's the craziest.
Wasn't that kind of recent,
one.
actually?
No, it's constant.
Really?
And I'm like, yo, I wish.
She continued to deny ever having anything with August. And in 2018, August took a seat at the red table next to Jada to discuss his issues, and at the time, Jada introduced him as a dear family friend. Well, by April 2019, fans were already convinced about what was happening between August and Jada, because August released the music video for Nunya, and in the video, his Animoji was texting someone named Corin, which just happens to be Jada's middle name. He also used a gif of Jada in the video, right after singing the lyric, "You got me feeling like it was an act, you're just an actress, putting on a show cause you don't want the world to know, that you lost a man who loved you all along. Baby, couldn't we just let this go?" Again, at the time, August said that the song was not about Jada, but like, come on. About how Willow and Jaden reacted to the drama. And while Jaden chose not to publicly address the relationship between his friend and his mom, Willow revealed that watching her parents' transparency made her proud of her mom. She said in an episode of the Red Table Talk,
"To be able to see you and dad do that, for me, that was like, okay, that's a real deal. Like, when you can be like, I'm with you, I'm gonna stand by you.
Right.
That's really important." Yeah.
okay. Even though Jaden never directly reacted, some fans said that the whole situation must have been
Make sure y'all tune in next week as we do wrap this up with part 4, as we will be discussing the Oscar event itself. And here's some of the opinion of celebrities behind the slap with Will Smith and Chris Rock. I don't know about y'all, but looking at that just made me sick. Because I'm like, do you feel like that? Let's start off with Jaden first. Because like with Jaden, he was, like we already see, there was no structure, there was no guidance. He was not able to be in a child's place. So that made him feel like he was already an adult. So he didn't feel comfortable being fit in with children, period. So he felt like that him being around older people was more on his level. And that's why he ended up with August being his friend in the beginning. What do you think about that, Keisha?
Well, I mean, everything is lining up the way that they I guess wanted it to, because just like you said, he didn't gel with kids his age because he said they didn't talk about things that he wanted to talk about. Like, let's talk about relevant stuff and not irrelevant stuff. What teenager do you know want to talk about politics and the economic status of the world right now? Not too many teenagers. They want to talk about games and dances and cars and stuff like that. He's not on that level. So when he met August, which I don't know how their age difference, apparently he was on that
20 something. He was 20 something.
He was 20 something. So I don't think August was so much talking about the political part of things, but he just came with that adult manly conversation versus a teenager boy his age. So, I mean, the plan, everything fits into the scheme of how they wanted it. So everything is falling into place. They made him older. So that's what happened.
And Dwight, your opinion about this when it came down to Jada and being drawn to older crowds and ended up with a friend, because he was in his teens. I think he was like 18, and August was like, I think 27, because at the time Jada was 49. So what is your opinion on that? When he speak about not being on the same level with children and being more on a level with an adult, to where he ended up having a friend of 27 years old.
I agree with Keisha. I mean, that's I mean, the way he was raised and everything, and his mindset was a little bit different, and he didn't want to hang around people his age because like, I guess he felt like he was more of a mature adult than most people his age, and he wanted to hang out with people that was older, and he ended up hooking up with August, and they became friends, and they was in the music business together. So I guess he looked up to August as a big brother, and maybe trying to help him get out there. And while Will Smith was gone making movies, August became closer with the family, hanging out with them and everything. So it felt kind of strange that they were so close and hugged up. If you saw in the picture, this is a married woman and this is a friend of the family. They just sit hugged up like they was a couple. But like I said, I agree with Keisha when things like that happen when program the kids to be adults before they time and everything. So it's just all messed up. So, um,
And I agree with you because my thing is it goes back to where I say child has never been a child, and a child's never been in its place where it's supposed to be, to where he feel like, oh, I'm more advanced than these kids here. I'm more of an adult level, and I don't agree with that at all. But then you look at, I know to me, it's like, yeah, he ended up being a friend. What Jaden called considered him as his best friend. But then when he seen the mother, that's when she said that's when they met. Do you feel in a way? Because I know I hate to say things the wrong way, but the way I look at him, even though he called Will a clown, I felt like it's like a plan that he had once he met the mother, because look how he was able to come into the family as easy as he did, even to go through trips. But even on the fact that, they supposed to be helping him with his mental and his physical illness, which I don't understand how they could do that when they got problems of their own. How can you help somebody else with problems when you got problems of your own? So, what is your opinion about that? Do you feel like August could have had a plan in doing this when when he seen Jada?
and he definitely had a plan, and I agree. How you gonna help somebody else when you got problems of your own? And yeah, and August is a young man, and he look at Jayla as a older woman, and she's very attractive and everything. So yeah, he had plans. I mean, he a young man. That's what some young men do. He said, Will's not here. She probably lonely. And see, Jada liked those guys that had a little roughness to him and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And she felt attracted to him as well. So when you hang around somebody so much and so long, and they allow you in their house, and being a man and you married, why you got another man staying at your house with your wife in the first place? So
Mm-hmm.
something bound to happen. You just don't do that. You don't let another man spend that much time at your house while you're not there. That's the first rule. You don't do that.
I agree with that totally. And Keisha?
I would definitely. It may not have started off as him having a plan, but you got to remember, if a woman presents herself as, I'm wounded, I'm hurt, I'm what they call now, I'm thirsty. Jada had to present herself a certain way to this man, because see, even though he was hanging out with a young person, he was a man. This is a man, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So if she presented herself, I don't think he came over there and just, you're gonna be my woman. No, she presented herself to be a vulnerable, probably flirtatious, and then from there it led from one thing to the next. But if you lead a man down a certain road, he gonna bite. So I believe Jada had a lot to do with the enticement. That man didn't. He may have had a plan once she opened that door, but he may not have went there with that particular plan. But once Jada gave him that red light, then shoot, he went for it.
Yeah, he was on and popping.
Yes, but she gave him the signal.
Yeah. I always say, people tend to say, well, it was an accident or it just happened. You have to, if you have a strong will, and then my thing is, if she truly loved Will the way she was, the way she's supposed to, it would have never happened. But this young man was in this home. He went on trips with them. He bonded with Will. He bonded with Jaden. He bonded with Jada. And then he bonded with Willow. But my thing is that you slept with your friend's mother. No matter how young he was, y'all was supposed to be friends. Will considered him a friend. So you ain't just betrayed Will Jayden, but you betrayed Will as well, and then turn around and want to call him a clown when you're in the wrong. My thing is she's wrong because for one, she knows she's married and she knew that was her son's best friend. He's wrong because for one, that he supposed to be loyal to his friend, but at the same time, that is his friend's mother. And another thing is, this is a married woman. Whether they having problems, whether they separated for a minute, they are still legally married. And you went and decided this on your own. So my thing is, you thought something was going to merge more than what it was going to happen. And it's just like we said before, don't ever think somebody going to leave their husband for you. And I don't know if this is what he intended or he wanted, because he still proclaims such love for her, even though he has this track out, the way he talked about the entanglement, him and Rick Ross. At the same time, I think he's hurt because he wanted to take Jada for himself. He wanted the world to know that they had a relationship, because August wasn't out there like that until this here. So, I mean, you really think about it, he had a lot of wrongful play in this situation as well. It wasn't just Jada. It was both of them. And my thing is, no matter what problems a marriage have, no matter how you think a person is weak, that doesn't give you the right to contribute to anything to break up a home. Whether it was already broken or things was already emerging. What are you adding to it for? That doesn't make you look good. Now, Fuzz, I know he dropped his track on Entrapment. It is available on YouTube. I did see it. Like I said, it's cold. Even Rick Ross' verse is cold, but it's fire. But I don't condole it. I really don't, because I feel like he's doing it to get attention. But then now he's finna bring out a tell-all book. And all this, not just for money, but for attention. But do you think it also could be a way to get back at Jada too?
Yeah, I think it's just to come up. I mean, he's a man. So when it comes down to it, ain't nobody gonna look at him crazy. He's a man. She put it out there, or however it happened. Ain't nobody looking at him like he did too much bad. Other than, okay, he messed with a married woman, but other than that, he gonna keep rising. He gonna keep rising on these songs, his book. He was in a relationship with Jada Smith.
Yeah.
So
And then at
only
one
way
point he
he
says
going up
that
from
Will
here
gave
is
him
up.
permission. He stresses
Right. So
that
he
Will gave him
didn't
permission.
lose nothing. He
But Will
gained
said he
so
didn't give
much
him
from
permission.
this.
Will and Jada say that he was not given permission. That was
Will
not
didn't
true.
give him permission, but Jada gave him permission. He only needed the consent from Jada. He didn't
Yeah.
need Will's
And
consent
it's good you
because he
said
wasn't
that.
laying with he wasn't laying with Will. He was laying with
Exactly.
Jada, who gave him the consent. So he
Exactly.
didn't need it from Will.
Exactly. And it's just like what you said, is that where she made the statement, she said, when he asked about giving permission, he said, I didn't give that permission. She said, nobody can give permission but me.
Hmm.
And I think that's the
And
most
she
truthful thing
gave
she
it.
said. And she gave it. But in the
I
Tall
think
book,
she
he's supposed to be
liked the
telling everything.
thrill. I think she
Mhm.
liked the thrill of it. He's young. He probably did some things on the under the sheets that Will didn't do.
Mhm.
And his performance may have been better. Or who knows? But on the flip side of that, you're supposed to love this man you call your husband regardless. So,
Exactly.
she just went after that young thing because he was, putting it on her the way she wanted it. Because she made I saw a clip that she made and it wasn't pleasant at all.
Mm.
I was like, wow, you just said this to your husband about how he made you feel and you wanted to feel it again and again. Woo, my heart
Yeah.
felt for him. I wanted to reach there and slap her lips.
Mm. But
But
what is y'all feeling about where she says, I hadn't felt good in so long and I
she
was
letting Will
broken.
know.
She made these excuses. To me, it was excuses to justify her actions. She used that she needed to feel good. She was broken, and she hadn't healed yet. But this is somebody that has all these flaws, but yet still, you how can you help him? And you say you helping him through this?
Well, you know, hurt people hurt people. So
Yeah,
there you go.
exactly. Well put. Well put. Yeah, I know I asked Dwight before we go. I did ask Dwight about what was his thoughts now when you being that we had part 1, 2, and 3, and seeing Will from the time that coming up as a child and being exposed to domestic violence to the marriage to Jada that Jada didn't want to do, that she felt that her mom made her do because she was pregnant, to now the children and the August thing. What is your, because I know a lot of people bash Will and everything. What is your perception of everything now? Because I know people just were quick to just jump out there just from the slap when we all said it had to be more behind what Will did than just that slap. What is your perception now? Because I know the perception does change sometimes when you actually get the ingredients. Keisha?
Oh, I thought you were talking to Dwight. I was asking
Oh
Dwight.
no, he already got his he gave his opinion already.
Oh, Spicy. All of this is just to me baffling. I know it had that action that took place on that night was not the actual act. It was so much hurt and resentment and anger behind that just doing these four little things that we're doing, or the three we've done so far, that's probably barely scratched the surface. That's just stuff that they've put out. We don't even know what really is going on. Well, Jada has no problem putting her whole business out. Sometimes you don't need to be that transparent. Sometimes you need to keep just a little bit of family business behind closed doors, because you got the whole world looking at you, judging you. I mean, everybody's judging you, judging your children, judging your husband, even judging Austin. When if this stuff was never put out, we would never be able to know this. There's a lot of people probably doing exactly what they're doing, but we don't hear about it. We don't know about it. So I do, but I do feel a lot of sympathy for Will. I don't blame. I blame Will for some parts of it, but I don't blame him for the majority of it.
Yeah. And I'm with you on that because my heart does go out to Will, because when I look at the path that he has been, through, from childhood to now, and to see practically how the women in his life that he felt abandoned him or hurt him, and to want to nothing but a loving marriage and a woman that loved him so he could pour his love into her, into the visionary family, you know and like Jada said, he has a vision of a family, and they just not it. And I think the problem started when they was forced to get married. And I mean, that's where it started. You know, um, like I said, I don't judge anyone. I wish the best for the children, because I know I could see Trey differently brought up with his mother than the way Jada and Jayden was brought up. But he had the one thing I do, I give a lot of respect towards Jada and his ex-wife, was that they allowed the kids to be in each other's life. They allowed Will to be a part of that life, to where Jada even allowed Will to go on vacations with his ex-wife for the sake of Trey. Everything was for Trey, and she stayed back. It's, a lot of women don't do that, you know, and a lot of women do not put their children first. they're so caught up in emotions to where if a man goes with another woman, they're ready just to cause chaos and use a child as a weapon and to hurt, thinking they hurting that man, but they really hurting that child. And it's very sad. But that's one thing I give respect for Jada for doing, along with his ex-wife, is coming together. Because I mean, at the beginning, it wasn't good. It wasn't, because it even came to part to where Trey's mother told Jada, you're living in the house that I picked out. And Jada's response is, it's my house now. But you gotta look at Trey's mother is the one that divorced Will. He didn't divorce her. So, we don't know how this is gonna turn out. There's been a lot that's emerged since, we begun. I mean, a lot. So this last show that we'll have on next Saturday, we will be wrapping things up with part 4 at the Oscars and getting opinions from celebrities, including Judge Joe Brown, on his opinion of the slap. So just stay tuned, and we look forward to y'all being here next week. Please tune in, go to the YouTube channel, subscribe, comment, and share if you enjoyed today's segment on Will Smith and the children. And we'll see you next week right here on the Unspoken Heart Discussion Hour. Thank you so much for tuning in.